Hey guys, so welcome to another Vlogmas video. Today I thought it'd be fun to show you guys the books that I plan on reading for my big book challenge of 2014. I did one for 2013 and ended up reaching it, so I decided to set a bigger goal for next year. I think this year I picked 20 books, last year, or technically this year, I picked 15. And if you don't know what the big book challenge is, I will leave the Goodreads link down in the description. And basically it's just a challenge or a goal you set for yourself where you set a number of books to read that are over 400 pages. So they can be bind-ups, like The Complete Narnia, or like Flowers in the Attic. I read a bind-up of that, or yeah, just anything like that. So let's get started because it's a big pile. That's a lot of pages. So these books are in no particular order of when I'm going to read them. They're just books that I want to read sometime in 2014. And the first one that I picked is Unearthly by Cynthia Hand. This is about angels, I think. And I know it's a completed trilogy, and that's really all I know about it. I should have mentioned that my goal is actually going to be 25 books, but I only set 20. So I should have mentioned that. And this next one is More Than This by Patrick Ness. I picked this up in DC, and again, it got damaged on my flight home. I think this is about a boy that drowns, yeah. And that's like the first line on the back, so that's not spoiling anything. But yeah, it sounds really good, and I loved A Monster Calls, and I think that's the only book I've read by Patrick Ness, so I hope this one's good too. Then I picked Tilt by Ellen Hopkins because I loved the Crank trilogy, and this one is also written in verse, which means that I can fly through it really fast, and yeah, that's really the only reason why I picked it. Then I picked Walking Disaster by Jamie McGuire because this is the sequel to Beautiful Disaster, which I read I think in January or February, and it's more like a companion I think than a sequel, but this is told from Travis's perspective and I really want to read it, and yeah. Then I picked Scarlet by Marissa Meyer because I read Cinder I think in like November of 2012, maybe December, and I can't say I loved it, but I'm really curious to see what happens, and I've heard this one's even better, and then I think the third one comes out the beginning of next year. Then I have The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin because I've heard such amazing things about this book, and I think this was in my big book challenge of 2013, and obviously I never got to it. So I think this is about a girl that's in a car accident and she has no memory of what happened, but like all of her friends are dead or something. Yeah, so essentially. And I don't know, I'm really curious, and I think the third one comes out in like October of next year. Or it was supposed to come out in October of this year and it got pushed back. I don't know, but I own the sequel to this one, so I should probably read this one. This one I know I'm going to be reading in October, and that is Dr. Sleep by Stephen King. I read The Shining in October to November of this year, and I enjoyed it, so I'd really like to get to the sequel, and it's a big book, so hopefully it goes by fast, but The Shining took a while to get into. Then I picked City of Bones by Cassandra Clare because I want to reread this one anyway because I've yet to see the movie, and I know I probably won't get to it till like February, and that way maybe I can like marathon the series. But yeah, I kind of enjoyed it the first time, but I think maybe if I read it again then I'll appreciate it and I'll be able to kind of like understand what happened. Then I picked Delirium by Lauren Oliver because again this is another completed trilogy, but I only own the first one, and I've heard mixed reviews about this one to be totally honest, but I've owned it for a really long time, like probably over a year, and I need to read it. Then I picked Daughter, Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor because a lot of my friends love this book, and the third one comes out soon, and they all have really pretty covers, and I own the second one, which is Days of Blood and Starlight, but yeah, this is another one I've owned for like a year, and I've just heard such good things that I have to read it. Then I picked Quarantine, The Loners by Lex Thomas because this one barely made the 400 page limit. It's like 404 pages, but I've been dying to read this one ever since I picked it up. And I bought the sequel when I was in DC, and I even own an ebook copy of this because it was like a Kindle Daily deal, So maybe this is one that I'll read if I ever go away for university, but I definitely want to read it sometime in 2014. This is another one that I bought an ebook copy of, and that is Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. I own all 4 of these books. I think it's a trilogy and then like a companion, but I own them all, and I think it's about turning 16 and you get surgery or something so that you're not ugly, and it sounds interesting, and it also sounds like it's a book that would make me really mad just at the plot of it. So yeah, this one is definitely over 400 pages. And that is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. I've owned this book for probably over a year, and it's like 800 pages-ish, but it has really small margins. You can see that. And I own the trilogy, but I want to read them so that I can see the movie adaptations. So yeah, I'm not really sure what this is about, but I think it's a thriller, and I like thrillers. Then I picked Grave Mercy by Robin Lefevers because I owned this before I moved, so that means this has been well over a year, and I think it's about an assassin, but it might be a retelling of something. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know, but I know there's a sequel. Then I picked Partials by Darren Wells. I think this is about people that are like partially human and there's like a war going on with them. And I own the sequel, and I think there's going to be a third one, even though on the second one it says the second book in the partial sequence, which, unless I'm stupid, sequence means 2, doesn't it? Like, doesn't matter. But I think there's going to be another one. So then I picked Velveteen by Daniel Marks, and this is another one that I'll probably end up reading in October. And I just know that I think it's about a girl who gets murdered and she like haunts her killer. Yeah, I've owned this one for a while too. I've owned a lot of these books for a really long time, and it's time I read them. And then I have The Forbidden Game by L.J. Smith. This was in my books to reread, and I really like this book. And this is an example of a bind-up because there's 3 books in this one. And yeah, I can't wait to reread this. I'll probably reread it in like January. And then I have Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling because I plan on rereading the whole series in 2014, but I definitely like to get to this one because this is one of my favorites except for the Deathly Hallows. And yeah, so I look forward to reading this again. The Taker by Alma Katsu. I think this is an adult book, and I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what this book is about. I just know that I've owned it for a really, really long time. And then finally, I have The Hypnotist by Lars Kepler, and I've been dying to read this, and I bought this a long time ago, and I have the sequel. I don't know if you can see, no. But yeah, I think this is also an adult thriller, and I don't know, the cover just really captured my attention when I saw it in the store, and I had to buy it. So yeah, those were the 20 books that I've set out of my 25 book goal for my big book challenge. If you guys are going to be participating, let me know down in the comments, and if you're going to be reading any of these books, or if you have read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them down in the comments. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for another Vlogmas video. Bye!